Of course, the Peach Bowl, where Pitt will be taking on Michigan State, and what could have been a matchup of Heisman hopefuls, but they ain't playing. But Pittsburgh did open up it as a 4.5-point favorite here, Brian Leonard, a total of 63. Interesting line movement in this one as well. How do you see it playing out?
Yeah, we now see Michigan State as a 2.5-point favorite. Looking at the strength of schedule, we're looking at Michigan State at 27 and Pitt 69. Pitt's starting quarterback, not playing. Michigan State starting running back, not playing. In fact, I believe they're down to their third string running back to start. Yeah, it's a situation for myself where it's hard enough to handicap these games with all the emotion and who wants to be there and all that. But now you're missing two really good players that were the keys to both of these offenses. Will that have an effect on the total? We will see. I know that the Pittsburgh defensive quotes that I've been hearing is they're still excited to try to shut down this Michigan State running game, which is what they expect to do most of in this game. But if this game goes up to 3, I'd probably play Pittsburgh just on a spite bet, being that I just don't think the players missing are worth that much. But at this point, I'm probably going to be sitting this one out. I'm really not looking forward to betting on Michigan State as a favorite, especially the way they finished off the season, losing to Purdue, Ohio State, and blowouts. Beating Maryland and then the Penn State game to finish the season. But I prefer the Pitt side, but unless I get to 3, I'm probably setting this one out.
All right. And Dave, interesting coaching matchup here between Tucker and Narduzzi, but Michigan State still got a defensive issues. They've had them all year. Can Pitt exploit them?
Yeah, I hate to be brief and not give you anything of value here, but I don't know how these teams are going to – I don't know how anybody can know how these teams are going to react to arguably the two best players for each side not playing. The backup quarterback for Pitt has actually looked good when he's been in there, and I'm sure he knows the playbook, but, you're talking about a quarterback in Pickett who – and I don't think he's a great prospect. I don't think there might not be a great quarterback prospect coming out of the draft this year, but he's certainly one of the better prospects out there, and he's going to be in an NFL roster next year. I don't know that he can come close to doing what Pickett did. And Michigan State loses, to me, probably the best player on the football team. I haven't the slightest. This is the beauty. This is where we have the advantage over the odds makers. They have to put the line out. We don't have to bet it. There's plenty of games where I think you can actually find an edge, and this isn't one of them. So I'm not going to mislead anybody with a guess that I'm absolutely not backing with any money. If I had to give you one thing on the game, Pittsburgh has a very good rushing defense. Underdogs who give up less than 100 yards per game on the ground are good bets in bowl games. So if you just want an angle, you can go with Pittsburgh.
So Peyton Thorne's still in for Michigan State there, Tony Mejia. We've seen that Pitt secondary get lit up a few times in the ACC. So I don't know. You got enough faith that they can get the job done here, Michigan State?
Yeah, I mean, I think Michigan State has a clear advantage over Pittsburgh. I mean, you're removing Mark Whipple, the offensive coordinator. He goes off to Nebraska. And obviously, you take Kenny Pickett out of the mix, who is a pro quarterback at the college level. So we'll see how good Nick Patty's going to be, and he's got to leave a pretty good impression, because here comes Caden Slovis from Southern Cal to come transfer in and try to step into Pickett's shoes next season. And Patty's been there 3-4 years, so it's put up or shut up time, as unfair as it might be. You've got to show what you're capable of. And as far as Michigan State, you mentioned they've got their quarterback situation squared away. So and Thorne did a nice job for most of the season. They blew that game. Down the stretch, I think they did hit a rough patch. But is it harder to replace a quarterback or a running back? I think certainly as good as Kenneth Walker was. And transferring in from Wake Forest and really setting the Big Ten on fire and looking like a top 3 running back in the country all season with his broken tackles. I think he was first after yards after contact throughout the season. I think the running back is far more replaceable. The leading returning rusher from last season, Jordan Simmons, is back. He was very young still. Elijah Collins, the leading rusher from 2 years ago, injury plagued, missed the final 5 games, but it looks like he's going to get a chance to play. And again, I think at this point, I'm going to side with Michigan State over Pitt, just from that continuity standpoint of I think it's going to be a lot easier to replace Walker than it will be to replace Pickett, especially with Whipple out. If you're going to look at the contrarian to that angle, it's going to be more difficult for Michigan State to know what they're preparing for, schematically on the defensive end, but they should adjust throughout the course of the game. So we'll see what Patty can do. Right now, my take is Michigan State, and I'm not surprised that they've moved into the favorites role.
Yeah, they lose a Heisman hopeful in Pickett, and they gain Slovis here in the transfer portal pit. So it should be interesting to see next year how that works out for them.